The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Good morning, everybody. Today, that's right, it is Hump Day. It's Wednesday, November 15th, and today is National Education Support Professionals Day. That's a whole lot of in there. It's also National Raisin Bran Cereal Day, 2 scoops. National Spicy Hermit Cookie Day. I have no clue. I don't even think I've ever tried one of those. It's also
never eat the cookie on a hermit. Never eat the cookie on a hermit.
I man, I'm telling you, I'm with you on that, Yarrow. It's also National Bundt Day, not Blunt Day, but Bundt Day. It's National Clean Out Your Refrigerator Day, and my favorite day of the year, National Philanthropy Day. Oh, excuse me, National Philanthropy Day. Excuse me. Thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that QR code on your screen somewhere to find out where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube. And now we are also streaming to Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Rumble. And so welcome to everyone joining us from any of those other platforms as well. But kicking it off today, we are going to start it off with the Florida man. That's right. The Florida man who is based in Northern California, who just was trying to get away, who loves cannabis, real estate, and mixing them all together for a little bit of cannabis real estate. It is none other than Mr. Yarrow Kubrin.
You started us off on a really sick twist, talking about eating the cookies on what and feeling my throppy. I don't feel my throppy. This ain't feel my throppy.
You should feel your neuropathy all the time.
I felt my neuropathy, but then it made me go blind, so I stopped doing it.
Oh man, that's a different type of neuropathy, I think, buddy.
Anyway. Okay. Wednesday, November 15th. Good morning, High at 9 News viewers. This is Yarrow Kubrin from Northern California, where there are no manatees, tornadoes, hurricanes, retirees, or alligators. My article today is about cannabis and cruise ships. Cruise lines are forced to remind passengers they are not allowed to smoke marijuana on ships as passenger volume creeps up to a pre-pandemic level. As states across the U.S. continue to ease penalties for the use of marijuana, cruise lines are reaffirming their stance on the drug as the number of guests rise to pre-pandemic levels. In August, the Cruise Line International Association predicted that passenger volume would surpass pre-pandemic levels with 31.5 million passengers this year. But with more guests comes a higher likelihood that there will be at least a few that break the rules. Travelers may want to think twice about bringing marijuana on board, as discovery of the drug may lead to fines, arrests, and a ban on future trips. At Royal Caribbean International, home of the world's largest cruise ship, Wonder of the Seas, marijuana use is strictly prohibited. In no event Shall any passenger bring on board the vessel any illegal controlled substances, including medical marijuana? The cruise line's policy reads. It adds that marijuana possession and its use is prohibited in many jurisdictions visited. However, they are designated smoking areas on board for cigars, cigarettes, and vapes, not cannabis vapes. Disney Cruise Line has adopted a similar stance. In accordance with the United States federal regulations and local laws in the destinations we visit, illegal narcotics, including synthetic designer drugs and marijuana, even if legal where you reside and medically prescribed, are prohibited on board the ships and on Disney Castaway Cay, the policy reads. There are even areas throughout the ships where guests are free to use cigarettes and e-cigarettes. Carnival Cruise Line has made its position very clear, as evidenced by a February 2023 video message from President Christine Duffy. Duff. Her last name is Duff. In case there's any confusion, let me remind guests that while marijuana and cannabis products may be legal in some states, we're required to follow the federal law, irrespective of the law in the state where you may be boarding your ship, Duffy said. The cruise ship encourages guests to consult with their physician for other suitable alternatives. Furthermore, all suites and outside balconies are non-smoking. Those who violate the policy will be charged $500 per violation. Guests who disembark for violating our policy will be responsible for all financial charges and expenses to return home, and no refund of their unused cruise fare will be provided, the policy reads. They may be banned from sailing with Carnival in the future. This policy is not going to age well, Carnival. Good luck with that. On Norwegian cruise ships, all drugs, including marijuana prescribed for medical purposes, are prohibited. This includes all products containing CBD, oils, candies, gummies, or any product containing THC, the policy reads. Violators are subject to arrest and prosecution and may be prevented from reboarding the ship. At Viking Cruises, marijuana possession and use, including medical marijuana and CBD oil, is strictly prohibited. Passengers who violate the law of any jurisdiction are subject to being reported to law enforcement or customs authorities, arrest, and prosecution, the policy reads. Those who bring dangerous items like weapons and marijuana, oh my God, how do you even put those in the same category, are also subject to immediate embarkation or denial of boarding. That sounds like they're going to keel haul you and throw you over while they're in the water. Passengers will have no claim for loss or damage under such circumstances. Cruises may rely on enforcement tactics like scanning all bags passengers bring on board, requiring guests to re-enter security after each step, and dispatching staff to sniff out the illegal substances. All right. So, I've given you enough to think about, enough to chew on. What do you think? Are these cruise ships like Russia and passengers like Brittany Grenier? I want to hear what you guests think here on Hyatt and Eyes. Dying. Rico, what do you think? Dale, what do you think? Crazy, right?
No.
Crazy.
What's crazy is that people think that they can bring these things on cruise lines when it's all governed by international waters. That's the crazy part to me.
But if it's international waters, that would mean that there's no government controlling what's happening on that cruise ship because it's in international waters. So why then?
No, the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard would have jurisdiction. That's a federal agency, Yarrow.
Does Coast Guard have jurisdiction in international waters or just in federal waters?
It's all international waters until it goes to another country that takes the jurisdiction that has a similar Coast Guard. But there is a jurisdictional.
Yeah, unless I know the owner of that boat or who's driving that shit, and I speak to them directly, and they tell me I'm allowed to smoke on that boat. I'm just not gonna smoke on that boat because you're literally a sitting duck.
100%
out there. If something goes down, Coast Guard comes up, or some police boats come up and apprehend your ass. Like, I err on the side of caution when it comes to shit like that. Because I know my ass, like, I might have some words to say with said authority figures, and it'll end up being something that ends up on the news.
You're saying it'll escalate.
It will escalate quickly, because chances are, if I'm on a cruise ship or whatever, I've been drinking too, and the crossfade is most definitely in full effect. And knowing myself,
liquid stupid reaction.
Yeah, I don't want that smoke, literally and figuratively. So
I'm coming up with
this is me. This is me in my version of common sense. But I don't know. Anybody
coming
else?
up with the Diva hybrid cross with Dramamine, and I'm gonna sell it to all the new cruise passengers.
Mhm.
Yeah, if I don't know who owns that boat, I don't know who's the skipper or the captain of said ship. Chances are I'm not going to be smoking, at least publicly, on said ship at all.
Well,
Because I don't know any of those other people on the boat either. They're gonna snitch real quick, too.
I know
So
I know I was on a cruise one time, and I had some flour with me. And what I would do is I would walk to the bow of the boat at the end of the night, and I could smoke there when pretty much everyone had gone to bed for the most part, and the smoke is just dissipating off of the ship and just into the ocean. And most of the people that were on this cruise ship also, a lot of them were smoking in their rooms, like old school style, and using the toilet, flushing it down the toilet, old school style. Like clocked. And when you're in a cruise ship, like you're in a small little bathroom. It's like being in an RV bathroom. And then those toilets have a lot of suction power going on, and so it'll just suck that smoke up right there and dissipate it. But you know what's funny is there were some people that got snitched on the boat by some of the crew, and as soon,
of course,
and before they let anybody get off of the ship, they had the drug dogs come on and go and sniff their room and find whatever they could find and whatever before they would let anybody off of the ship in the first place.
It's bad PR.
Yes.
Bad PR. Because going forward, cannabis is only going to be made more legal and lawful. And if these ships want to attract people, if it's not a kid cruise, which I can understand you don't want people smoking on a kid cruise, you're going to have an adult cruise. At some point, they're going to have to face the fact that you can't enforce this unless you're really draconian. And do you want to do that?
Well, here's the thing, though, Dale. I understand your point with the kid cruises, but at the same time, those kids aren't on the cruises by themselves. There's a lot of parents that are taking their kids on there, and they have designated adult areas. Like there's casinos on the ship and whatnot, in different places where it's only for adults, and minors can't enter those areas, and those spaces should be protected to allow adults to use whatever they want.
If anything, get like a dry flower vaporizer if you got to do flower. Like I wouldn't even take those take the risk of igniting some a joint or something like that. I commend you, Jason. You also present yourself as white.
Stop it.
And you most likely
I can't help
people would snitch on me before they snitched on you.
I can't help how people interpretate me or classify me into whenever they
that's privilege.
I don't find that as privilege. That's not a privilege.
It is privilege.
No, that's not. That's just people not asking and people being ignorant and just choosing to classify.
You as a certain way, they're most likely going to be viewing me as a threat. I'm a large black man.
You're just saying that, bro, because you played football.
And ruining somebody's family experience. That's what it be saying.
By definition, those who have privilege are less likely to recognize the privilege they have than those who don't have privilege and see the privilege of other people.
I don't buy into any of that hype bullshit. None of it. None of it. It's all hype.
You can just look at data. You can just look at raw data.
Yeah, you can look at raw data. I agree.
Where you get your raw data,
and I can extrapolate plenty of things out of that raw data too. It's all bullshit.
Jason, it
is what it is.
Failed. The statistics are already in, and the data is there.
I understand, and it's how you read those statistics and how you perceive it, which creates your reality. And what I'm telling you is that it's all bullshit.
No,
it's real.
Cruise ships, 8.7% of the enforcement action is against. No, I'm just kidding. We don't.
I was gonna say you don't got none of them kind of numbers, Yarrow. That's cute.
If you put that on Twitter, Yarrow, I believe Jason will believe you.
You guys are so funny.
Hey, just to bring some reality back to this, guys. When I was in the Navy, if you wanted to smoke weed, you went to the fantail because the wind was blowing away from the back of the ship.
Exactly.
And we had to have anything that might be alcohol had to be drinkable alcohol because the drunks on the ship would find it. So there are certain realities about what happens on ships. And Jason, said you went to the bow. I'd recommend the fantail.
Oh wait, I was at the back of the boat. Isn't that the bow?
I
And
thought
that's the
Bran called the
that's
Barrel
close.
Boys, and you were in the hall.
No. I was all the way on the back of the boat. I
That's
thought
the
that was,
forecastle. That's the main mast, dude. Come on. Yeah,
Come on, Jason.
whatever.
Were you even on the boat, Jason?
I was on the boat,
Good proof.
100%. I was there for like 5 days. They had great food too. Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. But thank you so much for that story, Yarrow. We're gonna go to a commercial and we're gonna be right back.
Let's do it.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
We're gonna continue with the order shakeup today because
Yes.
Jason and I have two parts of this story that we're gonna be talking about today. But you know who it is coming up next. He is the host of the show. He is also known for smoking the best weed in the world, whether it's on land or at sea.
That's
so he
right.
says. Jason
I'm a
Beck,
fan
what do you have
for
for
that.
us? There's a very, very hot story coming in.
Oh yes, and first of all, too, I want to make one quick announcement in regards to yesterday. We do have to make a small retraction in regards to the video that we played in regards to the backpack stories yesterday. That was not a video related to the Backpack Boys. I do apologize very much. So we want to make sure that we're always keeping everything 100% correct over here at High at 9 News, and so that video and that story was from a different incident, not the actual Backpack Boys incident. So I apologize. We did make a mistake on that, and so we apologize to all parties involved. There was no malice or malintent intended. We're just trying to get you guys the news in a streamlined fashion. But nonetheless, we do want to thank also Nick Bradley for sending me over this story today. You guys are gonna love this. Oh boy. A pre-dawn robbery evolved into a shootout and vehicle chase on Monday through the Harvey West neighborhood. This is up in Santa Cruz, you guys. Both police and business representatives for an industrial cannabis facility on the 300 block of Ensenal Street were put on alert when burglars tripped a security alarm on their site prior to 4:30 in the morning. Santa Cruz Police Deputy Chief John Bush said the business representatives, however, arrived at the facility ahead of officers, catching at least 2 thieves leaving the site. The representatives apparently attempted to apprehend the thieves by ramming his car in one of the 2 believed fleeing vehicles, according to Bush. In a quote, "At some point, shots are exchanged between the victim and the suspect, and vice versa, is our understanding," Bush said. The suspects ultimately ended up fleeing, and they're still outstanding. Basically, that means they're still on the run. A Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office deputy soon after located one of the vehicles, a white SUV with rear end damage, abandoned near northbound Highway 17's Pasamatimpo exit, and the vehicle had been reported stolen out of the Bay Area, Bush said. What a surprise. In a quote, "We currently are interviewing the business owner to determine if there is any criminal charges that he may face in regards to his use of a firearm to attempt to apprehend the suspects." Bush said late Monday afternoon, albeit they were committing a commercial burglary. We are investigating whether or not the force the business owner used, particularly in the ramming of the car and use of the firearm, was lawful and reasonable for the situation. Bush said that generally a credible threat to life is required to justify the use of deadly force, such as if the thieves fired first. As of late Monday afternoon, the department had not located the thieves nor made any formal arrests, he said. He was not able to immediately provide a description of the thieves, and in March, 2 cannabis-related facilities in the same neighborhood were similarly struck in back-to-back overnight robberies, also involving the use of multiple stolen vehicles or mismatched license plates. Bush said those most recent robberies remained under investigation and that no arrests had been made in either case. Well, things are going down in Santa Cruz, and I can't believe that we have had one of these kinds of stories every single day this week. There's shit going down, and nonetheless, this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News. What do y'all think?
Hey, Jason, on this one, you want to just like hold the comments until I give my end of it? Okay, let's just do that.
What are you saying, Yarrow?
My...
Yarrow, what are you saying? You're on mute.
We can't hear you, Yarrow.
You're on mute, Yarrow. You're on mute.
Somewhere between Florida and California.
That's right. You must be in Nebraska or Kansas.
Riding a manatee.
Yeah.
Flyover state.
Yep. I don't know. We can't hear you.
All right, I'm just gonna
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna just read my portion of it, and I'm gonna tell you guys. I'm so glad that that Jason grabbed the first part of this story yesterday morning, breaking down the what of what happened. Pretty much the action portion from eyewitness reports, cops and surveillance. But last night, a totally new story emerged, giving us more details into who and why everything happened the way that it did. And I think it'll lead us all, as we already see some banter going back and forth in the comment section here, it'll lead us all afterwards into a healthy debate over how we view the main character, Derek Hubbard. Hubbard's a 36-year-old Santa Cruz dispensary owner who was arrested at the heart of this story. Though police say that he was a victim of the early morning robbery at his facility on Encinal Street, he was also the only one being held without bail in Santa Cruz County Jail. Per the article, Hubbard allegedly rammed into and shot at the escape vehicles of multiple thieves as they were leaving the scene around 4:30 a.m. Police arrived long after and were unable to apprehend the thieves. And Hubbard, he runs a cannabis cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution center. Santa Cruz Police Chief John Bush, we were talking about a second ago, he said that Hubbard had been the victim of the prior break-in robbery, and his security system alerted him of the burglary going down between Monday night and Tuesday morning. The rest of what went down was mostly covered, in Jason's coverage. The rolling gun battle through Harvey West neighborhood. But the police alleged that it was Hubbard that initiated the shooting with the departing thieves. It was his fault that everything went down, so they say. Deputy Chief Bush said that Hubbard used lethal and deadly force to try and stop what was ultimately a property crime from occurring without there being any threat of violence toward him. One of the vehicles believed to be involved in the robbery, reported stolen out of the Bay Area, was abandoned near the Pasatiempo exit on Highway 17, and police were unable to provide a description of a second vehicle believed to be involved. I'm sure there's a surveillance video there of the second vehicle. But while Santa Cruz police initially booked Hubbard on suspicion of 4 counts of attempted murder, the Santa Cruz County District Attorney's Office elected to file numerous lesser charges, including felony shooting of an inhabited dwelling, 4 counts of assault with a semi-automatic rifle, and 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. Per the article, the charges include several special enhancements for the use of a weapon in commission of a felony. And the Sentinel spoke to a man Tuesday saying that he was the dispensary's general manager. He said he and others in the field are aware of organized crime ring whose members targeted licensed cannabis businesses throughout the state and have picked up their efforts locally in the past month and a half. Amid a group of local business owners sharing information, thieves had begun using similar tactics that have largely armed and masked groups showing up in multiple high-speed vehicles who are breaking in with professional tools. And he then counted at least 10 people involved in Monday's theft before adding that professionals in the industry say that they feel like they don't receive the same level of law enforcement response as other businesses, despite being highly regulated and highly taxed. Here's what he said. We're put in such a bad and dangerous position right now. These stings are targeting these companies and hitting them over and over and over again. Now they're trying to prosecute someone for defending their own life and defending their own property when we're being targeted by these monsters that would kill us in a second. You know what? He's got a point. Are these legal business owners supposed to just sit back and take it? What's the solution here if the cops aren't holding up their sworn oath to serve and protect? The natural response? Is it not vigilante justice? So my question to everybody is should Derek Hubbard be viewed as a murderous pariah or psychopath chasing down folks and shooting them in the middle of the night with reckless abandon? Or should he be seen as an industry hero? willing to do what it takes to defend his business and possibly that of others. Personally, I don't know Hubbard, but I do empathize. To me, his response to the second armed robbery on his own business, a live action threat in progress to his blood, sweat, and tears, was about as patriotic as it gets in a capitalist society to me. But that's just my personal opinion. As Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. Hubbard was scheduled for arraignment this morning at 8:15 a.m. Before Santa Cruz County Superior Court Judge Saida Cagliati. We'll give you guys updates on what we hear, the developments on this one. So, what are your thoughts on Hubbard? Is he a dangerous criminal who deserves to be behind bars, or is he a true American hero? Let's hear it.
Well,
I say he's a hero, man.
I say he's a hero
I don't
too.
think he's either one of them.
You don't think he's
No,
either
he's
one,
not either
Dale?
one of them.
Really?
No.
What do you
No.
think?
Well, the problem is that cannabis is still considered soft crime,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got lots of clients who ended up, several of them in Oakland, when the cops just wouldn't show up and they kept coming back. They ended up in firefights with them, shooting over the walls from across the street. It's an untenable position because law enforcement does not view this like if you go rob a bank, the general manager doesn't have to come out and shoot at the car leaving. There's going to the FBI and every local unit is going to be up their ass in a hot second. We don't get those kind of responses here, even though we pay exorbitant taxes and they're supposed to be covering our law enforcement part of this. We have extra procedures and costs for law enforcement. I mean, for enforcement at the facility and security, got all these cameras, and the cops just are like fucking Barney Fife. Well, I don't know what to do. Well, what are you left with? If it's all cash and they steal your shit and you're out of business, of course, at some point, you're going to shoot somebody back if you know they got guns. Now, I don't make them a hero, but it's an untenable position. And law enforcement's like, la, 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 la. We got other things to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not right, but it's real.
Yeah, I think he's a hero, and I think that if he is charged with any charges, I hope that he takes it to trial, and I hope that a jury of his peers releases him, because the reality of it is this: is if that law enforcement isn't going to do the job, then the people need to step up and do the job, and so they are opening up themselves to this by the fact that law enforcement doesn't take any of these types of things seriously when it comes to cannabis businesses.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you, Dale. He's put between a rock and a hard place, right?
Yeah.
And so I somewhat retract. I get me calling him an outright hero. Like I said, I don't know the guy. I don't know him personally or anything. This is a shitty situation. You know, if you're paying all of these taxes,
you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah,
Either way.
Right. And then you have all the other stuff that the California industry, all the other pressure you're into, like you're under right now. And this is the second time it's happened to his business.
And you know the
weeks.
thing about these types of
They're gonna
criminals,
snap.
the thing about these types of criminals is they know that the cannabis businesses really aren't going to be moving, and so they become long-term targets, and then they already know how to break in and whatnot. So of course they're going to come back and continue to do this. And so one of the only ways to deter people from doing that is popping them.
Right, and it's yeah. I don't know. I mean, I wish Chris Eggers was on here today too to talk about it. Like from a former police officer's perspective, this is just shitty. Like all around, it's shitty on the number one on the police on their end. Like you're not, you know exactly who's targeting these businesses. Yeah, you have all these CCTVs set up. This is California, the only place with more public surveillance than California is New York City. Right, so we have all these cameras set up everywhere. They know all this information on everybody, but you're just gonna let it go, right? You're gonna continue letting these people's businesses be attacked, and then you're throwing this guy in jail. Like, yeah, he's a business owner. He's a cannabis business owner. He knew the risks going in to this whole situation. But should he be left out on a limb to just fend for himself in the middle of nowhere? Like I personally think no. You know, I empathize with him in this moment. Like, yeah, he snapped. Everybody has their breaking
point. Yeah.
So
Well, the complicating factor is still guns around cannabis.
I agree with
that
you on
really
that.
kills this.
I agree with
Yeah.
you on that, Dale. It is going to
Agreed.
be interesting to see what they say in regards with that. But I do find it interesting that none of these articles even touched on that fact.
None
Neither
of
of them mentioned that
Well,
fact.
they're by the same outlet, right?
No,
You know, they're not
I don't. No,
both by the Sentinel.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Let me go.
Yeah, they want to screw with you about guns. They can do that at a federal level, and you're just toast because you can't have guns around this. And shooting people over weed is definitely a violation of the federal, controlled substances and gun laws. And you really
California
are
gun
put
laws
in a
are-
bad position because
Yeah,
I've
California
got
gun laws
clients
are
that
worse than others.
Oh, Rico,
I
you are
can't-
right. These are
I
both.
can't recommend they use a gun because I can't recommend do things I know are unlawful. But I do have clients who've called me and said, I shot the son of a bitch back. I shot back at him because they came in for the third time and no cops did anything, but there were gunfire exchanged. And it's like, this is just not a good place to be. There's no place to look where there's a happy ending to that. And Jason, I think you're right. If you go to trial and a jury of your peers say, nah,
Yep.
we're not going to convict you of this kind of stuff over failure to respond by the cops, and they've got guns. Clearly, they got guns because they're shooting back at you.
Exactly.
Chicken and egg thing. It's really hard to advise clients who are in these positions, and we do criminal law in our firm too, and we haven't picked one of these up yet. But juries are not stupid. If they look at this and go, yeah, we understand that you're put between a rock and a hard place. These guys clearly have guns. They're organized. They've come after you. The cops won't do shit. Now what?
And one other thing that I find a little interesting in regards with this story is on the gun topic, and why is it that they didn't mention this in any of the other articles? It baffles me that they're not bringing up these points exactly right here in this article.
It's all, the game's all fucked up, man.
Mm-hmm.
And these legal business owners and operators, they should not be put in this position.
Mm-hmm.
If it, I don't know what I don't even know how to start at a solution with this, because being from my political flavor, like I'm all about, I'm about vigilante justice.
Yeah.
I'm from a place in America where shit like this does not go down without the expectation of you getting capped.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have a lot of these issues, in VA in the South, where people are doing dumb shit like this, because you will end up with a bullet in you, and it won't be just you showing off bullet wounds. You will be dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where you fix this issue. I know that Gavin Newsom is trying to get tougher on guns in California, but people who got guns still got them.
Well,
right? People are gonna get shit from out of state and get them in here. And if you're not protecting yourself, you are a sitting duck as a business owner.
Well, and the other part of this, it clearly states that the law enforcement is saying that they're trying to figure out if there's additional charges, because they're basically said in there that that basically you don't have the right to shoot at anyone until they actually shoot at you. So that means that's the only, I don't believe that that's a definition of fear for your life. I'm not buying that for a second. I could be fearful for my life, and I don't even need to see a gun. You know what I mean? That just is batshit crazy to me. But
I think we should have some version of the Castle Doctrine for.
Yeah, I feel as though if you're brandishing a gun and you're acting like you're coming to do whatever, to me that's already a threat, and whoever shoots first and is the best shot is going to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's in special situations. I'll put the asterisk on there. In special situations, like if your business is under attack, if you have people coming at you, like this is a broader indictment that I'm making on society. Like you have people that are struggling. You have people, taxes are high. The cost of living is crazy in California.
It's the holiday season coming up.
Yeah, listen, man, I empathize with the people who have to do effed up things, right? But I also empathize with the legal business owners and they have to be able to protect themselves too. There has to be a point where if we are paying this money that goes into police officers and for them to protect our communities, we have to be able to trust the system. This dude shouldn't have had to roll out of a bed in the middle of the night, see a security camera, get in his car, and get there before the cops got there. Like that shouldn't have even been a thing. And I try really, really, really hard to empathize with the law enforcement on situations, but I just do not see law enforcement doing much of anything to protect business owners these days. So I can go back, and I know you love this one, Jason. I can go back to BLM protest days, say defund the police. Like if they're not doing anything, why are you continuing giving money to them? Why are we not giving them grades publicly and allocating funds elsewhere? That's my thoughts, man.
Well, we already know how you feel about it. You want an anarchical
society.
You know how I
feel, brother.
Yeah, you want an anarchical society.
You know how I feel, man.
Yeah.
Like, people.
Were you saying something, Yarrow?
Libertarianism, man. It's look it up. It's one ladder. It's one step on the ladder of anarchy.
Adam, do you have him muted by any chance? Because Yarrow can't talk.
Yeah,
Yarrow's a mute. Yarrow's got something going on.
Yarrow's in the Matrix over there.
Talk, we just can't hear him.
Yeah, you should do sign language, Yarrow.
Pantomime.
Yeah. Oh man, and on that, we're gonna go to a commercial. We're gonna be right back. The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
Gotcha.
Oh, and Yarrow is back. He's figured out his sound issue. Good job, Yarrow. But stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. YouTube appreciates it, and you will appreciate yourself for it. As well, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover today on the news, High at 9 News, you can find on our website at www.highat9news.com.
I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla. And if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get yourself a stretch and smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
That's right, baby. I'm Smoky Vanilla. With my background in kinesiology, I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on athletes who have chronic pain or injury due to their sport, or the legends of the chronic in the game, baby.
Oh, yeah, you know what it is. We just stretched, and now we're gonna smoke, because you know what it is.
That's right. I love intuitively creating a session based on the individual I'm working with. We'll go through a few assessments, look at the past health history, injury, or anything that's still affecting you today, and create a customized session just for you. Let's go.
And we're back. And Yarrow figured out his thing. He's done being silenced by the deep state. What do you have to say, Yarrow?
Yeah, listen, I had some opinions and they were all bubbling forth and I was muted and it was terrible and I'm suffering and now I'm going to go to therapy. But once I get through that, I did have some opinions about these two back-to-back articles. The first is we have a massive under-responsiveness problem with law enforcement to property theft crime, specifically for cannabis-related issues. And it's not clear to me that the tax dollars that are being taken from local areas where there are clusters of cannabis businesses are being redirected back towards better loss prevention and additional staffing locally. And I see that in a variety of different areas from Santa Rosa down to Santa Cruz here in California. And so that is a problem. And this guy was a victim before. And to the article's point, they still hadn't solved the other crime, much less this crime.
It was probably the same guys.
Probably the same guys coming back to the same well. I also think it's interesting that this guy was able to show up before the police, right? The police are theoretically driving around and on dispatch, and this guy was able to get out of bed, get dressed, get a firearm, get down there before the police arrives. So again, I think that might have something to do with being a little bit under-responsive, or that there's definitely room for improvement in the way that law enforcement addresses property theft crimes for this industry. Now that's that part. The other part is this, okay? it's not. So use of deadly force has to be about being threatened. If you're chasing somebody, if they're already fleeing your property, if they're already trying to get away, and you're discharging a semi-automatic assault weapon in an area where the bullets that don't hit could go to other places, like in houses or victims or people walking or residential structures. We all love this, hey, defend my castle, defend my house, defend my property, and that's all fine and dandy until some 11-year-old gets a bullet that goes through a wall in a building that's adjacent because a person who was firing wasn't paying attention in the heat of the moment to what was behind the person they were trying to shoot at, right? And so I think that, like, this is all fine and dandy, but this could have been a situation where an innocent bystander is hit by a bullet, and then, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that if what is alleged is accurate, okay, first of all, I think the no bail thing is
you know what I think in regards to that, Yarrow? I think that the actual criminals are the ones that should get charged with murder in regards to those types of homicides when those types of events occur. It should not be.
It's just not how that works, right?
I understand that. I understand that's not how it works. I'm just saying that's how it should be.
He could have taken a property loss. Now, that's easy for me to say because it's not my property. But at the same time, I don't really want everybody who has a gun using a gun on public streets because they're trying to defend their property. Like, what's the threshold? Do you shoot at somebody if they steal your watch? Do you shoot at somebody if they steal your wallet? Does it have to be your vehicle? Like, what is the dollar amount?
I don't think there is a dollar amount. I think just if you're doing those actions, you're liable to get shot. Period.
Right. And I'm not saying that that's not the case, but what I'm saying is, what about the people who weren't doing the actions? What about the people who weren't being robbed? What about them having to avoid bullets in quasi-residential or mixed-use areas where a bullet could hit an unintended person? That's a real problem.
Listen, Yara, I think you're 100% right. Right. And I want people, I'm talking back and forth right now with Nick Bradley in our comment section about that, man. I think you're 100% right on the public safety point. However, like, dude was all piss and vinegar at this point. Like he got his shot broken into. The cops aren't there. I can only imagine all of the things that are going through his mind, and he's not thinking about public safety,
right?
Because the cops aren't there. He's thinking about, like, fuck these guys. I'm gonna load them up,
right.
and it's just sad. Like, the whole situation's fucked up.
But ultimately, the cops and society is supposed to think about the greater good, the broader impact, the effect on the herd. And the effect on the herd is if you are discharging bullets and you are not trained and you don't have military training and you are discharging at something and you're maybe moving and you're in a vehicle and they're in a vehicle, there's probably a greater chance that you're going to hit something you weren't intending to hit than that you were actually going to hit.
Especially it being pitch black outside.
I'll tell you what.
I agree with all of that. All I'm saying is, like, I empathize with this guy. I feel bad that he was put in this situation, period. And yes, it's all messed up, man. The cops need to do their job.
I wonder if the cops, since this was in Santa Cruz, if they were just out catching banana slugs and that was the reason for their whole delay.
Playing a didgeridoo while doing Reiki to channel their energy and eating an organic gluten-free scone. I get it.
No, I think they were out collecting banana slugs, Yarrow.
I mean, look, aside from the mascot of the UC down there, this crime problem against cannabis businesses, this was bound to happen sooner or later. This guy is not old. He's young. He was fired up. It's the middle of the night. He's already been a victim. The chances that something like this or worse was going to happen, it was already ordained. I mean, it was going to happen, right? And so we have a real crime problem against cannabis businesses, and that, to me, is the bigger story.
And you can look at it across all businesses, not just cannabis either. That is happening in mainstream America, and I'm surprised we haven't seen more of this. With the other, I mean, if the majority of other strip mall businesses didn't go the way of the dodo during COVID, like a lot of these other, like, small business owners and shops weren't already shut down, I'm pretty sure you would see this at more places too.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with Benson in the chat. He says this is a bigger issue. People are taking advantage of knowing that the police aren't doing shit, and this is getting worse. And we need people like Derek to step up and stop this shit straight up. That's my opinion.
I mean,
that's my opinion on it.
It's bad. Like
It
I'm not
is.
gonna try to sugarcoat anything. It's bad right now, man.
100%.
Things are bad, and the streets ain't safe.
That's right. It's Joe Biden's America, and we got to keep this train moving, Rico. We're gonna roll right.
Let's keep it
into
going,
Dale.
man. Up next, we have everybody's favorite foul-mouthed uncle out here to break us down with some truth, always breaking us with the best of facts and opinion when it comes to the pressing legal issues coming down in the cannabis industry. And you know what? He's a new father-in-law too, so I got to give him props for that, man. And one day I'll be marrying off my daughter, and you held up better than I probably will. Dale Schafer, what do you have for us today, my man?
All right.
Congrats again.
Coming up, this is
Papa-in-law.
local Theo Dale.
Yeah.
This is crazy California, folks. We shoot first and ask questions later.
Mm-hmm.
And my story comes out of Law 360, and the headline is Judge Won't Give Vape Company Win in Big Chief Trademark Suit. Now, as I took a look at this, one of the things I've done over the last few months is to introduce people to phases of litigation. When you first file a complaint, you have the pleading phase. Then you go out and do discovery, ask questions, and take depositions and shit like that. And then you can file motions if you think you can win without having to have a trial. This case came up as what we call a motion for summary adjudication or summary judgment. I mean, there's no triable issue of material fact here. And the case grows out of a guy named Samuel Kim and a company he owns, Cali Blue Sky Investments, claiming that they own the Big Chief trademark. They put it on tobacco, I think, going back to 2013. And then somewhere around 2018, 2019, they hooked up with a company that's called ARJS LLC. And what it turns out is that they collaborated together to put Big Chief trademark on cannabis products. Okay? And Big Chief apparently had previously had that trademark on some clothing, but it was never registered. Okay? And as I'm reading through this, it turns out that these idiots had verbal agreements for trademarks. And you read that, and the first thing is a red flag goes off. Is a shit sandwich is coming. As soon as you have people do handshakes or claim their handshakes to do, licenses for trademarks and irrevocable use and stupid shit like that, you just got to get concerned. Well, they went in on the plaintiffs filed a summary adjudication motion claiming there's no triable issue of material fact. The judge stuck a boot up their ass about 3 feet. Said, hang on. You guys admit that you brought this other company in to use the trademark. You didn't continuously and exclusively use it. They filed for what we call a statutory trademark in California because in 2020, after this use had been accomplished and they split up, they went in and tried to register the trademark. Well, there's a presumption that the register of the trademark owns it, but it's rebuttable by facts that it was being shared and it wasn't continuous and exclusive use. The judge said, no, this ain't going to work. And they also cited to things in papers they filed, and the judge said, there is no such paragraph. The deposition doesn't say that. He was a little irritated, or she actually was a little irritated at the attorneys here. But the big news to come out of this is that if you are running a business using a trademark, you need to get that intellectual property secured. I recommend you get an IP attorney to help you get the trademarks registered across the U.S. Patent and Trade Office, typically for merch, hats and shirts and shit like that. But California allows you to register these. Once you register them, put your licensing agreements in writing. If you think you can do a handshake deal or trademarks and things like that, and think that it's going to survive you having a fallout with your partner and the pissing matches that follow, you have lost your mind. I call these liars contests. Because if I go into court and I don't have anything in writing, then it's up to the personality of the person in the witness stand as to who a jury believes. And you may lose your ass just because you're just not credible on a witness and that somebody else is. So the story here is that if you run a cannabis business especially and you think you have a trademark, you need to get your ass to an attorney and get this shit secured and get it registered. And then make sure that you have licensing agreements in writing that cover expected fallout between you and your partners. Okay? Because that's why we have these agreements. If you're getting along, nobody needs a written agreement. But just like relationships, sometimes the stinky breath in the morning gets real old and you go, you're out of here, bitch, I'm done. These businesses, the claim was him was stealing money. Oh, I've never heard that in the cannabis industry. People are skimming money. Okay. On the other side, Kim's claiming, oh, you were out selling the black market and you weren't, testing for pesticides and you diminished the brand that I'd brought forward. Okay. All of these things happen every damn day in this industry. And if you're not planning for them, you're going to end up paying a lot of attorney's fees to try and fix a shit sandwich that never should have been made in the first place. I want to back at you. What do you all think about this?
Wow.
Get your shit, age old adage to give people, man. Get your shit in writing and make sure if you have anything of purpose, of value, register that shit.
Exactly.
Register that shit, and you'll be protected down the line. I was speaking with big shout out to Sheila over at Aura IP Law, man. I was talking to her like this weekend at Blunt Talks here in LA. Exactly about that. Get yourself a good IP law or patent attorney early on in the process before you even tell people what your name is, before you tell people what these products are going to be. Get that shit registered because you will end up getting got.
That is inevitable, Rico. I totally agree. Yeah,
Right.
I totally recommend Sheila with Aura IP Law as well. She has been helping us out with some of our stuff over here too, here at High at 9 News. So we want to send her much love and appreciation for all the work that she does over there, without a doubt. With that,
Well, attorneys are expensive.
yeah, they are.
Just be clear. But what I tell my clients is it's better to spend a few $1,000s today
Then
okay,
hundreds of
to
thousands
secure
tomorrow.
your IP rights and get contracts for licensing. Because once you get into litigation, the attorney's fees are just difficult to predict, and you can't stop them unless you're going to throw your hands up and walk away. Attorney's fees turn up to be in the six figures to try and protect this. And unless you have a contract for prevailing party attorney's fees, you're going to eat all these fees. It just doesn't make sense. And the traditional market had a lot of wink, wink, nod, nod, handshake agreements because you understood if somebody in the industry, they're liable to get a cap popped in their ass. Okay. Now in the legal industry, that, even though we talk about popping a cap in somebody's ass, it's not really a good option. You end up in court. And that's where you lose the narrative. The attorneys suck you dry. You may walk out of there with absolutely nothing but an empty bank account.
Yep.
So don't do it. Plan this ahead of time.
100%, you guys, without a doubt. I'm gonna roll into this to this next story for you guys while we got a little bit of time left. This is kind of interesting, Dale. I think you're gonna find this interesting. A federal lawsuit. An owner of a medical marijuana dispensary says Mississippi censors business owners. The owner of a Mississippi medical marijuana dispensary filed a federal lawsuit Tuesday challenging state regulations that he says censor business owners by preventing them from advertising. After Mississippi legalized medical marijuana for people with debilitating conditions in 2022, Clarence Cockcroft II opened True Source Medical Cannabis in Olive Branch, Mississippi, but he says he struggled to reach customers because Mississippi's Department of Health has banned medical marijuana businesses from advertising in any media. That violates business owners' First Amendment rights, Cockcroft's attorneys wrote in a lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court of the Northern District of Mississippi. In a quote, all I want to do, like any other business owner, is have the opportunity to advertise. If I pay taxes in this business, which I do, I should be able to advertise, Cockcroft said in a news conference. All I'm asking from this state is to provide us with some liberty that they've provided other businesses. Cocroft, who is represented by the Institute for Justice, sued the leaders of the state's Department of Health, Department of Revenue, and Alcoholic Beverage Control Bureau. The lawsuit accuses state regulators of prohibiting business owners from engaging in truthful commercial speech to promote their legal businesses, which attorneys argue violates the First Amendment. Under the ban, Clarence cannot advertise in any media. He cannot place any ads in any newspapers or magazines or television or radio or even on billboards that he already owns, said Carton Marquez, one of Cocroft's attorneys. The First Amendment does not allow a state to completely censor a legal business if it is legal to sell a product, if it is legal to talk about that product. A spokesperson for the Mississippi Department of Health did not immediately respond to an email requesting comment on Tuesday. A spokesperson for the Department of Revenue said the agency had not heard about this lawsuit, and Arkansas, Louisiana, and Alabama also have regulations that prohibit dispensaries from advertising through public mediums, but Cocroft's attorneys said Mississippi's regulations are more stringent than those in neighboring states. Mississippi's law allows parties to buy up to 3.5 grams of cannabis per day and up to 6 days a week. The state health department cannot prevent dispensaries from placing appropriate signs on their properties or displaying products they sell on their websites. All other advertising restrictions are up to the health department, which prohibits dispensaries from advertising or marketing in any media, they say. The state government cannot simultaneously authorize the legal sale of a product or service while forbidding the truthful advertising of a said product, Marquez said, and no law, state or federal, justifies the censorship in this case. When Cocroft started True Source, he says he budgeted for advertising and purchased a few billboards in highly trafficked areas in northern Mississippi, and he has been leasing the billboards to other businesses and relied instead on word-of-mouth recommendations to reach potential customers. In quotes, "It's simply unfair that every other legal business in Mississippi is allowed to advertise while I have to rely on word-of-mouth," Cocroft said. What do you think about this, Dale? I'm so glad you are here today to share your thoughts about this.
Well, this is an interesting problem because commercial speech is looked at differently than individual speech, even though businesses are called a person.
Hold on, I
legally.
thought corporations are people too.
Well, they are, but they're not treated the same everywhere, nor should they be. But this is commercial speech. And the strict prohibition, I think, is where the Mississippi's going to have some trouble here. If they had reasonable restrictions, and reasonable restrictions are in the eye of the court, not in the eye of us. Because we have restrictions here in California I think are absolutely ridiculous, okay? But in the eyes of the court, they're reasonably related to try and protect children and things like that. Oh, but a complete prohibition is where I think they're going to have some trouble here. Because if it's lawful, and like I was saying, the truthful advertising is a problem for the state to completely prohibit it. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to set some precedent, hopefully, for if it goes up into to the appellate courts, because I don't know that Mississippi's parsed out this federal prohibition problem yet. We have in California, because we found a long time ago that federal law does not preempt California's statutes. We have advertising statutes. So I think they're going to have to parse that one out too, because it is still federally illegal to do this. These are state laws, and there's shared jurisdiction over cannabis between the feds and the state. So it's going to be a little complicated there. But it sounds like we need some precedent coming out of, especially one of these very conservative southern jurisdictions, look at the free speech part of this and tell the government, no, you don't get to do this. Mm-hmm. Have some restrictions, but don't completely prohibit it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see what happens with this. I just got my popcorn ready. You got any thoughts on this, Rico?
Save the children.
Save the children. Save the children.
Yeah.
Yes.
They got better weed than their parents do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. And I pray that my daughter will have better weed than I have.
Yeah. Well, if she's stealing yours, she won't. Mine used to pinch my weed all the time, the little shits.
Well, I have one last headline for you. I have one last headline. I'm just going to read the headline. If you guys want to read it, you can go over to our website at www.highat9news.com. But I think you are going to love this one, Rico. New York's cannabis regulators know out-of-state brands are breaking the rules. But the agency is giving all the trappers a present because the agency won't enforce until 2024, it says. Oh, my God. New York, you are something else. Man, oh, man, oh, man. What do you think about that, Rico? They said they're not going to do any enforcement on out-of-state brands until 2024. Now, granted, that's only a couple months away, but nonetheless, I mean, they just kicked the can. Hey, you know what? You guys can trap as hard as you want. Get your money for the holiday season, and then come January, February, we're coming after you.
Yeah, y'all got a month and a half to do whatever the hell y'all want, and who knows? January 1st, it might crack down. It might be December 30th of 2024, but it ain't happening until next year. This is like big shout out to the cops, these new age cops. I see them like in instances like this. I see them like the younger generations, right? Just snitching on themselves.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they do that quite often. That is for sure.
You're just inviting crime by saying we're not going to enforce until 2024. So go ahead, trap all you want.
Yes.
Go ahead. Go hard.
The trap is alive and well. No enforcement till 2024, you guys. Congratulations. Here's your holiday present from us.
Just like you can invest in legal cannabis businesses, the ones that are publicly trading. I wish you could.
I want to hedge on the trap. Hedge on the trap.
Yeah. I wish you could invest in trappers.
Yes.
So,
well, you can, Rico. You can invest in trapper keepers.
I want to buy lots of options. Buy calls right now on the trap market in New York because it's been in a low.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a recognition they can't enforce these laws.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to try. Remember when we had the sunset of SB 420 here in California?
Yep.
Where all the basic trap was going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it went away, and it's like, now what do we do? There's still greenhouses everywhere, trap shops on every other corner.
Yeah, it didn't
go
away.
Now?
It didn't go away, just like it ain't ever going to go away in New York.
Yeah. I mean, it'll never completely go away, but this is why those MSOs have that big lawsuit against the state of New York because of shit like this. when Mayor Adams came out there in the beginning and said,
"Oh, he's got much more problems right now.
Be smart about it, but my dream is to have people, growing marijuanas on top of every building." Like, dude,
oh, man.
You said you're not going to enforce. Why not quietly go into that agreement and just say like, oh, we're not going to enforce and tell the cops that behind closed doors, but instead you're going to say this kind of stuff publicly, thinking that he has to. Trappers ain't going to do what trappers do.
He has to say,
come on, man.
He has to say all those things publicly because the FBI took all of his phones.
It's true. Facts.
He's got the FBI microscope up his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're fully cooperating.
Yeah,
but that microscope didn't have any lube on it when they shoved it up his ass. So good luck.
Yeah, right. I would like to say a wee bit of empathy. Going out to the enforcement in New York because they're dealing with a lot of stuff.
What do you
right
mean?
now.
They're on vacation. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting behind their desk, just getting paid to do nothing.
They're getting a lot of stuff on their plate all at once right now, and you have like the liberalization of laws. Number one,
I never took you for a regulator sympathizer.
After and they have a cop at the head of everything. Allegedly corrupt cop running New York City right now. And if you are, whether it's a straight laced cop, a regular cop, or a dirty cop, like what direction are you gonna go?
Mm-hmm.
Which path are you going to choose?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel you. I just never took you for a regulator. I just never took you for
that job.
I just never took you for a regulator
and
sympathizer.
then guys, imagine that you own a trap shop and they show up and rip you off 3 or 4 times and you come out guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
The cops won't show up. Now, here we've come full circle with some of the problem. The cops don't want to do this. It's considered soft crime. They don't want to show up, so you take self-help. And it's like there is no compass heading with an easy answer here.
That's because they've all been defunded and had their whole morale ripped out of them from all that.
I mean, I wouldn't even take it that far, man. I would say, like they were doing a lot of messed up things, and it was going unchecked for far too long, and the pendulum was swinging in the opposite direction.
I do
right
agree
now.
that there are bad apples in law enforcement, but I do believe that there's far more
It's
good
not just
apples than there
bad
are bad
apples,
apples.
man. It's like whole damn departments. And so like I get visibly shook. Like I get pissed off when I hear people say, "Oh, it's a bad apple." Like, no, there's a bunch of fucking bad cops. Let's keep it a buck. The data does not equate to like, oh, there's one bad apple. Like, oh, there's always
I
one.
didn't say
Like,
one. I didn't
it's
say one. I think
it's
it
instance
takes
after-
it
there's
takes
a lot
more to
of
tango
there's a lot
than
of
one.
rotten apples. Monsanto has screwed over that crop. Apples are all bad
So
when
there-
it comes to this situation. And if you look at history, like there's a lot of bad people in charge that are doing bad things. Well, where New York is right now, like I don't know, man. I see a lot of the same shit going on here in LA. And unfortunately, you're gonna have more stories like Derek Hubbard popping up all around the U.S. just because the current state of affairs. And you have people that want things in a fascist state, then you want people that want things with like no rules whatsoever. And I don't know, man. I don't know where we are, but things are getting heated. You know.
That they are.
Final word on this one, Dale.
Plum or plata. That's what they tell you in Mexico. Lead or silver, dude. Pay me or I'm gonna fucking shoot you.
Lead or silver.
how
I
it
like
works.
that. Lead or
Right.
silver.
Plum or plata.
Yeah.
Sounds like a new
Snow
weed
is gonna
brand coming
it's
out.
probably going to get worse before it gets better. So unfortunately, hope everybody out there stays safe. And thank you all for joining us for yet another episode. Very lively episode today. Some great discussions on law enforcement and things that are going on with the community on High at 9 News. You can always catch us weekdays with 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our super fan show on Love, getting their comments posted live on the big screen, our live audience and online supporters, catching us across all media platforms. Tune in each day to the Headlines of Chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. To our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. To our production team, Cloud Media Partners, all of our sponsors keeping the lights on, and usually our AV struggles to a minimum. Always Cannabis Sativa L, the reason the High 9 News team's reading these stories every single day. Thank you as well. It has been Wednesday, I was about to say Thursday, Wednesday, November 15, 2023. You've all been blessed with the industry's top headlines today. Hope it was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. Dale, you are the North Star of
Yes.
of balanced guidance today. Can you please take us out and give us
Well,
some
I'm going to tell
positive
you, I'm a
people
dad, and a grandpa, and the violence in the world breaks my heart. Everybody should be sympathetic and have their heart go out to any person being harmed in the violence around the world right now, because both sides have blood on their hands. But we've got to find a way to bridge this in places where people just hate each other. Because the people who want to claim that, oh, words are violence, take a look at what's happened to little kids in Gaza right now. Having a building drop on you hurts, and they're not being called names. So let's all try to find more peaceful solutions. And as somebody smarter than me once said, that when a mosquito lands on your testicle, man figures out that there's a non-violent solution to the problem.
Look.